Hello everyone, welcome to this session on 30 Days to a More Powerful Vocabulary by Norman Lewis and Wilfred Funk. Today we are going to learn about learning words the modern way. So this course is being presented to you by me, Shilpa. Please rate, review, subscribe and recommend the course. Also please leave your valuable suggestions and comments below. So let's start with the first one. First one is acrimoniously. Acrimoniously means with sharpness and bitterness of speech and temper. They mocked each other acrimoniously. So acrimonious basically means bitter, right? So when you're doing it in a very bitter way, when it's going really bad, you're being very sharp in your speech. So then you're being acrimonious, right? I think when two parties, when they fight for the election, then they are very acrimonious towards it. They hurl acrimonious words towards each other because they're very sharp and bitter in their speech, because they want to hurt the other person so that they eventually win the elections. Next is adroitly. Adroit means skillful, and you know how you use your hands and mind. For example, I used to give the example for adroit. The example that I used to give was the circus people. Like, they know how to move around on one wheel, and they know how to juggle those balls and everything. So they are adroit at doing it. So they're very skillful at doing it, right? Or for example, maybe correspond all these people who are anchors. They're very good at managing the stage, right? They don't fear at all. Like, a lot of us have these stage issues, we cannot go and this and that, and just look at them, they're so calm about it, and they just go and they can deliver very great speeches. So they're adroit. Next is circumspect. Circumspectly means cautiously with watchfulness in all directions, right? Fearing a trick, he answered all the questions circumspectly. So that means that you're not giving a direct answer, right? So you're being very careful. You first look around that, okay, am I in the right environment to give an answer? For example, politicians do that whenever questions are being asked, or even celebrities, they would look around and see that am I in the right space to actually answer this kind of a question, because it might harm my reputation as well, right? Next is concomitantly. So concomitantly means occurring together, happening together, accompanying. Like, living and learning go concomitantly. In fact, we say that home is the first place to learn. So in fact, when our own parents, they teach us, so they teach us learning and living together, right? Because through small things, like daily things that we do, they give us more responsibility. So they are helping us learn about life, and they are we learn through that process. So both these processes, living and learning, they go on concomitantly. Next is cursorily. Cursorily means hastily and superficially, without due care or attention. If you have seen my course on vocabulary with mnemonics, I have used this in reference to a newspaper. Like, whenever you see a newspaper, you give a cursory glance. So what we do, we give a cursory glance on the headlines. We just quickly see the headlines, because you know that you might have more plans, right? So that is cursory. He examined the plans cursorily. Next is didactically. Didactically means in the fashion of a teacher, as if teaching a lesson. Like, she's trying to give these guys a lesson. So teachers are apt to talk didactically. So that means in the way of a teacher, because a teacher also has his own demeanor and his own way of saying things. So as a teacher, will be called didactically. Next is despairingly. Despairingly means speaking slightly off in a way to undervalue and discredit. Now, people who are really modest, what do? They don't they don't really show off, and they don't say a lot of good things about themselves. For example, maybe this model, the way these guys are saying, I'm pretty sure, like, she's being very she might be saying very she might be undervaluing her own credentials, or undervaluing her own achievements. So then what you are actually despairing yourself, because you're not being very honest, because you're being modest. So that is despairingly. Next is glibly. So glib means in a smooth of ease, without hesitation. So because people basically say, you can be a good glib liar. Some people are glib liars. So they speak in such a smooth way that you will never realize what, that they're trying to fool you. That's being glib. he used to lie glibly and cheat people, or for example ministers, or anchors, or celebrities. So they can lie about things in such a way, they are such glib liars that you will not be able to detect any sort of any false things in their speeches. Next is plaintively. Plaintively means expressing sadness or melancholy. That is, of course, if sympathy for all those people who've died or something, then the words that you will be saying, or your expression is going to be plaintive, right? Because what you're going to speak is going to be plaintive. Next is ominously. Ominously means forebodingly, in a way of pretending evil. Pessimists usually ominously speak of the future. So basically they threaten you in an inauspicious way, right? So ominous basically means giving the wrong impression, worrying impression that something bad is going to happen, and it might not be the case. Next is impunity. Impunity means lacking fear of punishment. See, men cannot break the laws of nature with impunity. Of course, if you are not fearful of the nature can give it back to you in such a way that you would regret all your life, right? So the thing is, and that's what we do. So impunity means people think they're very strong and they don't fear punishment, and then they use things recklessly. Like if we keep cutting plants recklessly, nature is going to give it back to you in the form of an earthquake, or in the form of a soil erosion or something like that, and then crop failure and things, and so on and so forth. So that's what impunity means. Next is inadvertently. So inadvertently obviously means in a heedless or a careless way. You can very well imagine like if you don't walk carefully and you put your feet on the ground inadvertently, then you might just fall off like this, right? Or maybe when there are radiators are hot and he touched it inadvertently, that might result in a burn. Next is irascibly. Irascibly means in a very angry, irritable and hot-tempered way. For example, that if you are hungry for a long time, if you've gone to puja for to a temple, then when you're back and beggars start asking for money, so then at times irascibly you get irritated. Irascibly you reply to them that I don't have any money, because obviously you're hungry, you want food, you want water, and here somebody is begging you for money. So that's irascibly. Next is sub rosa. Sub rosa means in a secret, in strict confidential, privately, right? In strict confidence. Missile tests, of course, they are conducted in sub rosa. You cannot tell them, or like any other nuclear weapons or any devices or devices for the army, whenever they are taken, they are always taken in sub rosa. You don't want to tell the world about it, because then even they can be well equipped that way. Next is vociferously. Vociferous means in a loud manner, noisily, vehemently. Like maybe these crackers bursted vociferously. So they bursted with a lot of noise, right? Okay. And he always complained vociferously how he was ill-treated. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you liked the session. Thanks a lot.